Yo, 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 Big D with a little Sunday night stream recapping week 11 of the 2022 NFL season. Oh, what a boring festival for a weekend of a day. Be honest, these games actually put me to sleep a little bit ago, but we're here recapping all these games. But before I tell you about these games, please subscribe, like, and share the Spunky Spectrum Sports YouTube page where you can see not only this stream but all the videos all the podcasts I upload. Speaking of podcasts, we'll be back with you tomorrow and this week with more episodes via Spotify and Apple. So there were a couple interesting games. One game where everybody wanted to see it, that being the Dallas Cowboys and the Minnesota Vikings, and it turned into a real snooze fest of a game. Because I think everybody wanted to see two of the NFC's best teams go at it. I mean, obviously, Dallas lost in Green Bay last week, and Minnesota survived in Buffalo, so you wondered which team would have more energy. And this game, if this game were a boxing match or a UFC fight, the Cowboys would have been going in a neutral corner in like the first or second round because that was one-way traffic. I mean, the final score was Dallas 40, Minnesota 3, and to be honest, it didn't look that close. The Cowboys dominated one of the best teams in football today. Ate them for lunch, dinner, and maybe deserving of the plane ride back to Arlington tonight. But the Cowboys needed a big performance and got one today. I mean, this game. I mean, Brett Mowell started off with a 27-yard field goal. Then Minnesota scored its only points with another short field goal, and then bam, bam, bam. Zeke Elliott returning touchdown. Brett Mowell kicking a long field goal. Then it was the Tony Pollard show with Dak throwing the first of two touchdown passes to Pollard, and then Brett Mowell kicking not just one but two 60-yard field goals at the end of the first half. Only one of them counted because there were question marks into whether CeeDee Lamb caught a sideline pass at the end of the half, but New York ended up counting it. So Mo ended up kicking two 60-yarders, and the second one looked better than the first. Like, it looked right down the middle. Like, I think it would have been good from like 64, 65 yards. So the Cowboys went in the half up 23-3. Then Dak threw a second, even longer touchdown pass to Tony Pollard, which put the Cowboys up 30-3. Then Zeke ran in his second score, 37-3, and Brett Mowell kicked another long field goal. So if you use all the Cowboys in fantasy football today, or DFS for that matter, congratulations. You won all the money. Because Zeke scored two touchdowns, Tony Pollard scored two touchdowns, Brett Mowell kicked like 100. Brett Mowell was 4 for 4 in field goals, three of them 50+ yards. Dak Prescott was 22 of 25 for 276 and two scores. So efficient, perfection. Since I mean, is that the best Cowboy game I've seen all year? Probably. I mean, but while the Cowboys' offense will get a lot of notice, I think the Cowboys' defense should take the bulk of this game because Minnesota's got a great offense. Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, TJ Hawkinson. Limiting the Vikings to 3 points. 3 points. And Kirk Cousins was fighting for his life today. I mean, Dallas sacked him 7 times. I mean, but he wanted to see what Michael Parsons and his friends would do after a poor performance against Green Bay. And Parsons got 2 sacks. Armstrong with 2, Fowler, Lawrence, Curse. I mean, everybody was eating Kirk Cousins today. I mean, it was one-way traffic throughout the game. It's the Cowboys are now 7-3, Minnesota's 8-2, and both of them have a quick turnaround because the Cowboys host the Giants on Thanksgiving, while Minnesota hosts New England. So it's going to be interesting how both teams react to a short week. But Dallas is coming into a pivotal NFC East game with a ton of momentum, ton of confidence, and a ton of positivity because I'm not sure what Mike McCarthy and Jerry Jones would be complaining about tonight. I mean, that was one of the best Cowboy performances I've seen in a long time. And for Minnesota, maybe the Vikings put so much energy into that Buffalo game last week that they just didn't have anything today. It did not look like the same the same Minnesota team, which won in Orchard Park last week. But sometimes you have bad games. I mean, Joe Burrow and the Bengals lost in Cleveland a couple Monday nights ago. I mean, Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs have lost to the Colts. Every team gets experiences one or more stinkers. I mean, the Eagles lost to the Washington Commanders on Monday night, so maybe that was Minnesota's stinker. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, the offensive line didn't help matters, but I'm not sure even the Tom Brady or Peyton Manning would have won behind Minnesota's offensive line with how aggressive Dallas's pass rush was tonight, but that's why we play the game. So good win for the Cowboys, and I know what everybody'd be saying in Big D until Thanksgiving about them Cowboys. So from Minnesota, we head to Denver, where the Las Vegas Raiders beat the Denver Broncos 22-16 in another overtime game. It seems like every other Raider game goes past 16 minutes, but the Raiders won again. I mean, I sort of knew this game was going to be close. Seems like every AFC West game, no matter how good or how bad the teams are, it's like a one-score game and win. Tonight's game didn't disappoint, but Denver started the game well, got up 10-0. Latavius Murray 1-yard touchdown. McManus kicking a field goal, but the Raiders scored a few minutes left in the first half where Derek Hall found Devontae Adams. What else is new? That's why you get a number one receiver. Give him the ball, which made 10-7. Then teams traded field goals for a while. Daniel Carlson kicked one with 16 seconds left, which tied the game. And then in overtime, yes, your Derek Hall found again. That Adams guy, he's okay. I think Aaron Rodgers misses him. Well, Devontae Adams caught another 35-yard touchdown pass from Cole, which ended the game as the Raiders won 22-16. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the Raiders in a sec, but I don't get the Broncos this year. I mean, I think a lot of people thought the Broncos would have been not only a playoff team, but a bona fide Super Bowl contender. But not only are the Broncos not making the playoffs, I think that Daniel Hackett will be fired. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when, because you can't lose double-digit leads at home. I know the Raiders have got Cole and Adams, Josh Jacobs, but the Broncos can't lose at home with that altitude against the Raiders. I mean, I cannot figure out the Broncos this year. Yeah, they've got injuries, but other teams have dealt with it. Injuries. The Tennessee Titans didn't have a quarterback. Well, didn't get one first down in the second half against Kansas City a couple weeks ago and almost won the darn game. If not for Patrick Mahomes being Patrick Mahomes, the Titans would have won at Arrowhead. So, I mean, maybe part of it is Russell Wilson struggling. Yes. Is part of it the fact that Denver doesn't have a consistent offensive line or running game this year? Because it seems like Denver's going for like older and older running backs with like Melvin Gordon, Latavius Murray, Chase Edmonds is now hurt. I mean, the Broncos can't figure out who the running back is. And meanwhile, with the Raiders, you know who's getting the ball. It's Josh Jacobs got over 100 yards today. Devontae Adams got over 100 yards today. And despite having Wall and Hunter Renfrow miss this game, I know Derek Hall has not played well this year. But today he played very well, 23-37 for 307, making key passes when he needed to. And Derek Hall doesn't wow you with physical talent, but he is great in big game situations. Look at the Raiders last year. How many times did Derek Hall keep the Raiders in game and pull out games the Raiders didn't have a prayer in winning? Tonight, he did that in one of the NFL's toughest environments. And that looked like the Raider team from 2021, not 2022. So now, both teams are 3-7. And I know the Raiders are 3-7, but I feel like the Raiders have been a little unlucky this year because they've lost some close games. And I feel like the Raiders are like right on the edge. Just like one or two teams, like the Raiders and maybe my Jags have been a little unlucky this year, and some teams, maybe Minnesota, until tonight got a little lucky and winning all these one-score games. So maybe it turns around, but in the end, I don't see either team getting close to the playoffs. But you can at least play spoiler in the AFC West, and with a ton of divisional games left, the Raiders would love nothing more than to potentially end the Chargers or Chiefs, make the potential Chargers or Chiefs road to Glendale harder. Couple other oddities. Did anybody see the crazy ending to the Jets Patriots game today? Because that was. Thank goodness I didn't have. Thank goodness I didn't really have to watch this game because I would have fallen asleep much sooner watching this game. Both offenses combined for 2 field goals, and then all of a sudden, at the end of the game, Jets punted, and Marcus Jones took it back 84 yards for the game's only touchdown. I'm like, is this the miracle at the Meadowlands almost? I mean, maybe not quite as impressive a comeback, but I've heard some people say, maybe the Jets shouldn't have punted. They should have kicked it out of bounds because at that point the game would have gone to overtime. But you know how many punt returns have gone for touchdowns this year? 0. But if there's one team you expect the unexpected, it's probably New England because Bill Belichick has got his teams usually so cerebral, so adaptable, and able of doing crazy things. I've seen New England try some crazy special teams plays, and they use so it's not unexpected that the Patriots did something tonight. But the biggest story of the game is not is not the defense, but the pitiful Jets passing attack. Zach Wilson, the number 2 pick in the 2021 draft, was 9 of 22 for 77 yards while being sacked 4 times. That is not good enough in today's NFL. I know it's windy. I know it's cold. But 9 of 22, that would mean Zach Wilson averaged 3.5 yards a pass. In 2022, when guys throw for 300-400 yards, like it's not, like it's eating turkey on Thanksgiving. Really. Really. I have to say, but the Jets are better off with Joe Flacco in their center than Zach Wilson. I mean, Zach Wilson looks like one of the biggest busts in recent NFL draft history, particularly with how well Justin Fields is playing. And yeah, the Jets were never going to get Trevor Lawrence, but maybe you could argue the Jets and 49ers would have been better off taking Justin Fields. Because you imagine Justin Fields with McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, and Kyle Shanahan. They're not losing a game in Santa Clara. And now they've got Jimmy Garoppolo on the center. So. I mean, the back pages in New York will have fun with not only the Jets, but the Giants laying in a major egg. The Giants came into this game 7-2, but be honest, the New York Football Giants look more like a 500 team than a 7-2 team. Won some crazy games. Literally won a lot of close games. Beat the Titans on 2-pointer. Ravens, Jags, the Packers in London. I don't think the Giants are quite as good as their record indicates. Some teams I think Cincinnati is better than its record, but I don't think New York is near as good as its record. And when Saquon Barkley is not running the ball, the Giants are a different team. And if Daniel Jones throwing the ball 40, 45 times like he did today, bad things are going to happen. And the Detroit Lions are a dang good team. I know the record doesn't indicate, but the Lions have got talent. If with Jamal Williams, 3 more rushing touchdowns leading the NFL with a dozen. DeAndre Swift fantasy owners are probably vomiting and hoping he'll score. Well, he did score today, but if the Lions got a great offensive line, 2 good tackles, bevy of running backs, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Hopefully Jameson Williams comes back off his torn ACL. And Aiden Hutchinson looks like a stud on that defense. The Lions getting a corner, maybe a quarterback, tight end in this upcoming draft. The Detroit Lions going to be a pro in the NFC North. Who would ever think the Lions could potentially be interesting? And remember, a lot of people say, well, the Lions win hurts their chance of getting a number 1 pick. Well, the Rams struggles right now. Detroit is still in a position to get a top 3 or 4 pick and get a quarterback, whether it be Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, or somebody. But it's gonna be interesting how the rest of the NFL season shakes up. Thanksgiving around the corner, and then December. Hopefully we don't have 77 more inches of snow. Hopefully we have 77 points in one of these games. But can't wait to see the rest of the season play out. Thank you for tuning into this stream. Happy Thanksgiving. Eat all the turkey you want. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.